Now that we've had a decent amount of time on our Fezzari bikes and have been able to travel to some cool places with them, I think now is a great time for a bike check. For today's video, I'm going to go over two bikes, the Delano Peak and the La Sal Peak, because those are the bikes that I have the most time on, and hopefully this will help you if you've been considering a new bike or are torn between the two. First, I'll start with sizing because it's consistent across all the bikes that I have. I ride a size small and I'm 5'6", which puts me right between small and medium on their size chart, but I find that size small fits me very well. Let's start with the Delano Peak all-mountain bike because it's the first Fezzari bike that I got, and I have to tell you that I fell in love with it instantly. Kyle set this bike up pretty light for me, and we have 150mm fork, 142mm shock. It's a carbon frame. It has 29-inch wheels on front and back with Stan's wheels and Schwalbe tires. We have Knobby Nick on the front and Rock Razor on the back. Super Trail casing. It's set up fast rolling, more so for kind of XC riding and just more fun pedally rides. So the first thing that I noticed and absolutely love about this bike is just how easy it is to pedal, mainly because that's the skill that I struggle with the most when riding. And I think it has something to do with just the geometry and the seat angle, where it's a little bit more upright than I'm used to. And I've noticed that when I'm climbing, I'm able to provide more power or torque with my legs, where I can get over technical features a little bit easier at the pace that I'm going because of that. And it feels a lot easier and more welcoming to lift the front wheel up when I want to try manuals and wheelies. So I feel like I might be an expert pretty soon at wheelies, hopefully. Also, the second thing about this bike is that it feels very playful and light, and that has made my riding so much fun this year because I find myself wanting to throw the bike around a little bit more in the air, get a little bit more style, and go for some more technical little doubles on the trail that normally would be a little bit hard to pull up and go for. So that has been really fun for me, and I just love how this bike feels. And second up, let's talk about the La Sal Enduro bike that we have set up for bike parks, which is my favorite type of riding, so I've been having a blast on it lately. We have it built up a little different than stock, but that's also the great thing about Fezzari is that they are custom bikes, and if you were to get them from them, you can choose to customize how you want. The shock is 170mm and the fork is 180mm. It's also a carbon frame, and the Stan's wheels are set up as a mullet with a 29-inch in the front and a 27.5 in the rear. And this is mainly due to how much suspension this bike has and me being a shorter rider. We wanted to give myself a little extra clearance in the back to avoid some butt buzzes if we can. For the Schwalbe tires, we have the soft compound with the super gravity casing, a Big Betty in the back, and a Magic Mary in the front, which is our usual setup for bike parks and big travel bikes. My favorite thing about the La Sal is it basically feels like the bigger sister to the Delano, where everything the Delano can do, the La Sal can do bigger, and I'm all about that. It's pretty surprising just how well this bike pedals for how much suspension it has, and it also feels very playful in the air, and I've surprised myself by getting a little bit more style than I thought I would on this, and it's just made it such a fun bike park bike. Each bike definitely feels a need of their own, depending on what type of riding you like to do. If you're more into pedaling, fitness, and not sending it as big, but still sending it a little bit, the Delano is the perfect bike. It's great for riding around Boise, given that we have some fast, flowy trails, and we also have some fun bike parks that have some jumps and drops, but nothing super technical. We don't necessarily need enduro bikes for most of the riding that we have. It was also the perfect bike to bring to Bentonville because it's very pedally there, but they also have some fun things to do if you want to send it a little bit. I was very glad that I had this bike there, and it even handled drop the hammer very well, which is, I don't know, a 12-foot drop? Tell me if you know. The La Sal Peak Enduro bike is best for those who love to send it. It also looks like Nick had some great results racing the Enduro series on his, and it was the perfect bike for me to bring to the Squamish Bellingham area where it's super chunky and technical, and even passed the Whistler test for me riding the bike park where it was even more chunky and technical and had the biggest jumps and drops that I've ever hit. I used all the suspension, and I'm so glad that I had this bike. I'm also lucky enough to have another La Sal built up in between these two bikes for when we go on road trips and I can only take one bike and maybe don't know exactly what the trails will be like. Once I get more time on that bike, I can do another bike check for you guys if you would like. I hope you enjoyed this video and got something out of it, or at least liked looking at the bikes, and I'll see you next time.